Okay, greetings one and all, and welcome to our first biology 0201 mentorship program. I don't know if they ever had anything like this before, but this is good. For those persons who are here live, I'm definitely happy that you came. Usually persons wait until I'm sure when it comes to, exam time, more people will come. But it is good that you all who are here, that you are not waiting until the exam, but that you are actually doing it before the exam. Because some persons ask me, but how you get an A plus? How you get A plus? How you get A pluses? I don't wait until the week of exam or the day before exam. I usually do my preparation well before, right? Now you don't have to be like me and do your preparation during summertime, whatever, but at least make sure that you um do it before the week before, right? That is very helpful. And so the little quizzes that I send, the little videos that I send, I see that a lot of you are taking advantage of that. That is good. It's just there just to keep it inside your mind because you'll be surprised to know how much you could learn over like day after day, just bit and pieces and bits and pieces. So definitely glad for those persons who are here for this evening, right? This is gonna be a very interactive session. I don't plan to be doing most of the talking. I'm just going to introduce the topic. I'm literally only going to be talking for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and then we're going to go right into an interactive group. I don't want to call it quiz, but it's more like I don't know if y'all are familiar with Kahoot, but I use Kahoot. We're gonna do a Kahoot, right? So I'm gonna be speaking for about 3 minutes, and then just to give everyone who don't know about the topic an idea of it, and then we're gonna go into the Kahoot. And the Kahoot is very interactive. You get a chance to participate and everything like that, right? So I have a question for us who are here. Is there anything in biology that we have done so far that you find, um, I won't say difficult, but um, you need a little more help on? If there anything like you feel like you need to brush up on that we learned so far in biology? Anyone?
For me personally, it would probably be like a proper explanation for like what the column is.
Yeah.
Because like I know the difference between like a columnate and
Hmm.
columnate, but like what is like a proper definition of a column other than, a body cavity?
Okay, I got you. Yeah, that had me the idea of what is a column. There's not a lot of information on that. Even you look online and go on ChatGPT or you go on YouTube, like you wouldn't, especially hemosil. Like I was trying to look that up today, and I was looking. I spent most of my day looking at that, and I finally came to a conclusion, and I finally got it. But it's a lot of reading that you have to do, but I could definitely say with confidence that you will leave here with a good understanding what the column is and what it does. So that's good. I'm glad with that question. Anyone else? Anything that you would like for me to touch or that you may need help with, in particular for this evening's session? Uh,
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but what I was having issues with actually is because I had done some pre-readings and it took me a little while to like conceptualize the different planes,
yes,
right? Because
yes, yes.
yeah, like I'm a real visual learner, so like it was
Mm-hmm.
really hard to
Mm-hmm.
like especially if you look at the notes, I think it was kind of confusing, like all the
Yeah.
different lines across the scroll or whatever the case is. So I did research and that's how I kind of like was able to wrap my head around it
Yeah.
and conceptualize exactly what it is and like just watch a lot of YouTube videos and
Yeah.
stuff. That's how I was able to understand it. But I don't know if anybody else would have issues with conceptualizing it as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you could probably touch on that. And the Silom as well, I would agree. It
Yeah.
it doesn't have a lot of information. As I said, like you really do have to do like a lot of research on your own and a lot of reading.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You're so right. I don't want to talk about that, but you're so right because I remember looking and especially in doing these videos, um, I do them before the lecture slides are out. So it's a lot of reading that I have to do. And the planes, I was so excited to get to the planes because I always saw them in like anatomy books, but I was like, what is a transverse plane? What is a sagittal plane? What's the frontal plane? Like what those planes is. And when you look at animals versus humans, they're kind of different, right? So yeah, we definitely gonna touch on the planes today. I can't wait till we get to the that's one of the topics I actually really want to get to. And so we definitely gonna do the planes, we definitely gonna do the coelom for this evening. For those who just arrived, the way we're gonna do it is very simple format. I am going to be speaking for about 3 minutes and 30 seconds for each iteration. And then we're going to go into a Kahoot, and then we're going to do the next thing. So we're going to start off. So basically, let me tell you how to follow me. So basically, let me show you how to follow me. In order to follow how I'm doing things, all you need to do is go to your, if you have your, let me go ahead and share my screen again. If you have the course outline, that's the only thing I follow, right? I don't really follow lecture slides. I don't follow none of them stuff. I just follow the course outline. Um, so all of my videos that you see on that I post inside the group are based on the course outline. So each video is based on each topic. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do unicellular organisms, protozoa and metazoa. Then after that, we're gonna do the different types of tissues, epidermal, connective, and stuff like that. Then 5 levels of organization. Then spherical, radial, bilateral symmetry. Then anterior, posterior, then diploblastic, and whatever. This is how my videos go. I go according to the syllabus. So far, I've done up to this point. And then tomorrow I'll be posting H and I. And then after that, I'll do um A and B for here, right? So I just go according to the syllabus. So if you want to follow how I'm doing things, here I just go according to the syllabus. Whatever syllabus says, what I cover, and that's all I try to learn. And from when I studying for exams, I just go according to the syllabus. Of course, the lecture notes are helpful sometimes, and sometimes they could need an extra padding and simplifying of things. But I mainly just go off of the curriculum. All right. Okay, so someone said I revise the same way. Yes, I revise the same way as well. I just go off the curriculum. And for bio, I find that the curriculum is very helpful. For chemistry, I don't know if you all are doing chemistry, but I do chem phys and bio. For chemistry, I don't really go off the curriculum. I just go off past papers and the lecture notes. And then for physics, I definitely don't go over the course outline. I just go over her PowerPoints. All right, so let's begin. So we're gonna first start off with unicellular and multicellular, right? Okay, so let's begin. Let me put my timer on because I only want to be talking for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and then because we have a lot to cover, right? So let's begin. So when I say unicellular and multicellular, like what comes to your mind? What do we mean by unicellular organisms? And anyone can answer. What do we mean by unicellular organism?
It being single celled.
Yeah, sing. Very good. So unicellular organisms are basically all organisms that have a single cell. So examples would be bacteria, amoeba, paramecium, and also yeast. These are all examples of unicellular because they're only one single cell. And the good thing about unicellular organisms is that one cell is going to do all the life processes. That means like respiration, feeding, um, locomotion, um, excretion. One single cell is going to do all that. So it's pretty cool that inside this one cell, you get all of these different like features. So that's one thing to remember about unicellular organism. One cell does. You all familiar with Miss Grant? I don't know if you're familiar with Miss Grant. Miss Grant. I don't know how y'all learned it over here, but
Yeah, I
you're familiar with Miss Grant?
no. Well,
Yeah,
somebody mentioned it to me, but what I'm familiar with is Grimna. That's
Gremna.
what I
Okay,
know.
okay. So where I'm from, we typically use Miss Grant. So movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, respiration, excretion, and nutrition. All that happen, this is so cool. All that happen in one cell. So that's what makes these unicellular organisms so good. And these are some examples, right? So key features like we already talked about, they have one cell produce all the functions, microscopic, of course, and they live independently because it's only one cell, right? Multicellular organism. Anyone want to tell me the definition of multicellular organisms in your own words? What do you mean by multicellular organisms? I know you can answer. This is not, this is not
Basically, an organism made up of two or more cells.
very good. Two or more cells. Very good. So multicellular is different from uni, multi meaning more than one. So The another thing about multicellular organisms, that's when they become specialized and they depend on each other more. So unicellular organisms are they are independent, but multicellular organisms are going to be dependent because if you come in together to create a tissue, you're going to need to be depending on this other cell and this other cell because you need to work together. So examples would be humans, obviously fishes, birds, plants, and fungi. Certain fungi um, is multicellular organisms, and certain fungi are going to be unicellular. For example, unicellular fungi would be yeast, right? But there are certain multicellular fungi, for example, mushroom. Okay, so now let's talk about the features of multicellular. Obviously, they have many cells. The cells form tissues, tissues form organs and what's not, and the cells depend on each other to survive. Now, the very important distinction that I did not really understand was inside the syllabus they say protozoa versus metazoa. But basically, all protozoa is a protozoa is a unicellular organism. That means it have one cell, but it's just that it has animal-like behavior, right? That's what a protozoa is. And metazoa refers to multicellular organisms that are animals only. So if I were to ask you, give me some examples of metazoa, what would you tell me? What organisms belong into metazoa? What would you tell me?
Human.
Humans. What else? That belong in the metazoa. Remember, metazoa is animals only. Y'all don't be
Human
shy.
and cats and dogs.
Say it again, because I was trying to say it at the same time.
Human and cats and dogs.
Say it again.
Cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs. Yeah, cats and dogs, fishes, like any animal you could think of, like that is big and strong, whatever. All of them is metazoa. Giraffe, monkey, all of them are metazoa, right? Now, protozoa, they only refer to unicellular organisms that are animal-like. All right, so just keep that in mind. So you're talking about like your amoeba. I don't know if y'all remember amoeba from school, but amoeba is like an animal cell, as we're talking about with insects. Obviously, insects is going to be metazoa as well. Okay, so certain features of this is what he gave us, but I added some stuff as well. So this is a good table. Obviously, a number of cells, unicellular one number of cell, multicellular, many cells. Levels of organization only have cellular only. But I know it's say only cellular only, but if we want to be technical about it, it's actually really the protoplasmic level, but we could let them live. Multicellular organisms, obviously, they are organized into cells, tissues, and organs. Division of labor is absent because it's only one cell doing the thing. And then multicellular organisms, they're present in different cells and form different functions. Specialization, there's no specialized cells. Specialized cells are specific. Anyone can give me some specialized cells in multicellular organisms? What are some specialized cells that we have in multicellular organisms? Specialized
Would
cells.
that be like the lung or kidneys?
Specialized cells. So,
Like
what do
milk
you think?
cell, must cell.
Yeah, like for example, so specialized cells would be like your sperm cell. Because if you look at the sperm cell has what it has to move. The sperm cell.
A flagellum.
It has a flagellum that allows it to move. So you think about specialized cell, you think about the cell itself. It is it is it has like a unique feature that is specific to a specific function compared to all the regular generic cells in your body, right? So reproductive cells are definitely going to be a type of specialized cells. All right, muscle cells, all those different ones, they are specialized. They have a specific function in the body. Then we have obviously unicellular, microscopic, multicellular, macroscopic, reproduction, asexual mostly, sexual mostly, and then body system absent, body system present, locomotion, cilia, flagella, muscles and tendons for the multicellular ones. Complexity, obviously, protozoa, or by the way, this shouldn't be protozoa because remember, protozoa only refers to so this is like a bad thing. It's only these stuff are subclasses. So what I meant to say is just unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. And then finally we have examples. So examples are gonna be your amoeba, your paramecium, your euglena for unicellular organisms, and then humans, fishes, and insects are gonna be for your multicellular organisms. All right. So that's the end of that one. Do we have any questions for this first iteration? Let me know if you have any questions. If not, we could go straight into the Kahoot thing. If y'all have any questions, let me know. We good? Sounds like we good. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you all, and then we can go straight into the Kahoot. The Kahoot. Everyone can participate. I encourage all of us to participate. The person who wins, whenever you see me, I will have something special for you. For the person who wins. All right.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know if y'all can see my screen, but I'm gonna share it right you all right now. Okay. So I'm gonna share the link inside the chat. Also, um, I'm going to it's gonna have a Q like a QR code. Y'all can see, y'all probably can't see my screen right now. So let me share it again. Okay. Okay, good. Let me know if y'all could see my screen. So let's start.
Yeah, we could see it.
You see it? Okay. So I'm gonna put the link inside the chat, but you could use the QR code also, right? Just to join in. All right. So just click onto that. Put a name that you want to put, whatever name you want to put, and then we could start, okay? Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Candia. So far we have 2 persons already logged in. I think that's Jasmine. Thank you, Kalia. I probably pronounced your name wrong, but please forgive me. Let me know how to pronounce it right. Shell, very good. Again, you could use the QR code, or you could use the link I put inside the chat. All right, either one is good. Um, Let me go ahead and I think I could share my audio so y'all could hear it. Okay, good. Okay, can y'all hear it as well, or y'all just only could see it?
Can you repeat what you just said,
Can y'all hear the
please?
song, or y'all just could see it?
Um, I didn't hear anything.
Okay, I guess it's only on my side. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of us. The rest of us, do y'all wanna? Because it's more than 8 who are here. So the rest of y'all, would y'all like to join, or y'all can't join? Let me know. The pin. Okay, I put the pin again. I put the pin inside the chat. The pin is also, you could use this. All right. Nathaniel, you join in? There's Nathaniel. Where's Nathaniel? I guess no. Okay, so I guess that's all who are coming. I don't want to prolong it too much. If you want to join and you're not able to join, let me know. All right. Okay, Shakine is in. Okay, that's us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, good. All right, so let's begin. Like I said, the person who wins, obviously I would have something for you whenever you see me. Because I don't know you all face to face, but if y'all could identify yourself like with me in class, then I'll have it in my bag for you. All right, so let's go. Oh, I should tell you how this works. So it's like a multiple choice. So the questions are gonna come, you click on the correct shape. All right. Okay, so first question is, and you have to be fast. Unicellular organisms are made up of how many cells? You have to be fast with it. All right, good. So we're seeing fast answers. So they not only mark you on accuracy, but also how fast you are too. So that's also a thing. So just make sure I answer it as quick as possible so that you could, okay, most persons got that right. That's good. Okay, next question. So you have the
Excuse, 1 second.
go
I
ahead.
was seeing, I don't know if anybody else was seeing colors, like shapes. I wasn't seeing
Yeah.
like,
So what you saying?
is shapes? Is someone
Yeah,
seeing
just
shapes?
just the shapes. So you look on my screen for the answer. You
Oh,
understand?
well, I use my phone, so I
Do you
can't
have
do
like
it.
do you have a second device?
No.
You only have your phone.
Yeah. At the moment.
Oh, you only have your phone. Um,
Yeah.
for the person who only, is there another way you could do it? The only thing I could do, I could read the question and I could read it in the exact order. All right, Maria. So I'll read it like red, blue, orange, green. So you will know it like that. All right. Okay, so let's go.
Okay.
Or you could do split screen, I think. Maybe. I don't know. All right, so let's go to the next one. Next. All right, very good. Guys, you're doing pretty good. All right, so next we have the following. Which describes unicellular organisms the best? Unicellular organisms which have tissues, have organs, specialized cells, or one cell does it all. Have tissues, have organs, cell specialized, or one cell does it all. Which describe unicellular organisms the best. Have tissues, have organs, cell specialized, or one cell does it all. Very good. Most persons got that. One cell does it all. Like I said, one cell does all the things, right? Very good, Candia. Very good, Rebecca, and everyone who's on that leaderboard. Which is an example of a unicellular organism? Human, bird, fish, or amoeba. Human, bird, fish, or amoeba, which is an example of a unicellular organism. Very good. Most, yeah, you're getting it now. Most persons are getting it. Good. All right, so next we have, very good, everyone. Y'all doing pretty good. Okay, so unicellular organisms are usually what? Macroscopic, visible to birds, very large, or microscopic. Unicellular organisms are macroscopic, visible to birds, very large, or microscopic, which is the correct one. All right. Unicellular, very good. They are usually microscopic. Okay, next. Okay, very good. Okay, so next what we have. Multicellular organisms are made up of two cells, no cells, many cells, or one cell. Very good. Many cells. That's the correct answer. Okay, good. Next we have, which an example of a multicellular organism? Yeast, amoeba, human, or paramecium? Which an example of a multicellular organism? Yeast, amoeba, human, or paramecium? Very good. Human. Wow. Y'all ain't budging. In multicellular organisms, cells are all identical, specialized, absent, or independent. All identical, specialized, absent, or interdependent. Very good. All, well, specialized, yeah. Wow. Okay, we have a little switch. We each have a little switch in a row right here. Okay. Cells in multicellular organisms form what? Cells in multicellular organisms formed what? Tissues, organ systems, only organs, only tissues, or only cells? Good. Very good. Wow. Division of labor is present in unicellular, equal in all, absent in multicellular, present in multicellular. Division of labor is present in unicellular, equal in all, absent in multicellular, or present in multicellular. Very good. Present in multicellular. Wow. Oh, y'all just moving. Which group refers to animal-like unicellular organisms? Animal-like unicellular organisms. Fungi, metazoa, protozoa, or plants? Which group refers to animal-like unicellular organisms? Animal-like unicellular organisms. Very good. I'll be the protozoa. Very good, Jasmine. Few more questions left, then we move. Which group refers only to multicellular organisms? Which group refers only to multicellular organisms? Amoeba, protozoa, bacteria, or metazoa? Very good. Very good. Excellent. Oh boy. Unicellular organisms lack which structure? Organ systems, nucleus, cytoplasm, or cell membrane? Unicellular organisms lack which structure? Organ systems, nucleus, cytoplasm, or cell membrane? What do they lack? Very good. They lack organ systems. Very good, everyone. Locomotion in unicellular organisms uses wings, cilia, flagella, and pseudopodia, muscles, and skeleton or legs only. All right, very good. Oh, wow, nobody moving. Multicellular organisms are generally simple, more complex, microscopic only, or less complex. Okay, very good, more complex. Specialized cells are present in multicellular organisms. Is that true or is that false? Very good. Are we done? We have three more questions. Which feature is unique to multicellular organisms? One cell, specialized cells, cell membrane, or cytoplasm? Very good. Almost finished. Complete the sentence. Unicellular organisms carry out all the processes with blank. What do they carry out all the, when we talk about Miss Gran, what does it carry out all the life processes with? One cell, very good. Wow, that was a shift. Double points. Which is not a characteristic of multicellular organism, which is not a characteristic of a multicellular organism, which is not a characteristic of multicellular organism. Very good, all cells are identical. And finally, last question. Which organism includes unicellular fungi? Which organisms group includes unicellular fungi? Um, most persons put C. I think the answer here is both B and C if you really think about it. It's definitely not metazoa. It's definitely not plants. Because if they say unicellular fungi, it could be fungi, but it also could be protozoa. It's actually, I think the true answer is protozoa. So you're supposed to get that right. So that's on me. All right, so let's bring it to the end. So that means that, how are we looking? Very good. I don't know the name of the person. And I don't know. Okay, very good. I think that's Candy, yeah? Very good, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, y'all did pretty well. So let's move on to the actual stuff. But y'all did pretty well. So Candy, when you see me again, I have something for you. Are you in G1 or G2?
I'm in G2.
Okay, good. All right, so let's move on. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is going to be the next thing on the syllabus. The next thing on the syllabus uh is the types of tissues. Okay, so let's talk about that. So can someone tell me what are the types of tissues that they know? At least give me one. Maybe everyone could give me one.
Okay, so we have
Muscle
epithelial
tissue.
tissue.
Okay, epithelial tissue. So epithelial tissue, for the person who said epithelial tissue, where do you find epithelial tissue?
On the surface. It is covered the external and the internal surface of the organism,
Okay.
right?
So give me a give
Um,
me give me a structure in the body where I could find epithelial tissue.
your skin.
The skin, very good. Can anyone else think about a place where I could find epithelial tissue? No, it's not just the skin, but the skin is one. Epithelial tissue, where could I find epithelial tissue? Because remember, epithelial tissue is good for like covering, right? But epithelial tissue also lines what?
The
It
organs.
also it also lines it also lines the surfaces of the internal body parts. So it also is good for secretion as well. So certain epithelial tissue also helps with secretion of substances as well. So it's not just it doesn't merely have an outer protective surface, but also can have a secretion role or an absorbing role as well. So just think about that when you're thinking about epithelial tissue. Not just protection. Protection is the main role, obviously, but also secretion and absorption as well. Um, how about what is the next type of tissue that we know? So we know epithelial. What's the next one that we know? We know epithelial. It's the next type of tissue that we know. Don't be shy.
Connective tissue.
Connective tissue, very good. So we have connective tissue, we have epithelial tissue. Where's Ariana? Ariana, can you hear me? Ariana, are you there? Ariana? Can't really hear from Ariana. Charisma? It's a nice name. Charisma, are you there?
Hey,
Yes. Do you know any other example of any like top types of tissue besides connective and epithelial?
nervous.
Nervous tissue, yeah. Nervous tissue is another one. And Jasmine, can you think another one? So we have epithelial, we have connective, we have nervous. Jasmine, can you think another one?
There's muscle.
Muscle tissue,
I,
very good. Go
I'm
ahead. What
somewhere else,
else?
but I'm typing in the chat. That's what's
Oh,
happening.
oh, oh, my bad, my bad.
But you probably can't see because of your PowerPoint.
I could see it. I could see it. I could see it. Shekinah, very
Sorry.
good, Shekinah. Very good. I could see it. I could see it as well. I wasn't even looking at that. All right, good. So good. So you all know the levels, not the levels, but the types of tissue. So that's good. So obviously the syllabus just wants us to go over the levels of organization. So we already know this. We probably knew this from high school, but the levels of organization is obviously the cellular level. That's the smallest functional, structure of life. All life processes happen in the cell. We know that already. Groups of cell come together to form what? If we have groups of cell,
Tissue.
tissues. Tissues, very good. So that's going to be a tissues. And so tissues is a group of similar cells that work together to form a specific function. Now, groups of tissues come together to form what?
Organs.
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 Organs, very good. So organ is just a group of different tissues that work together to perform a specific function. That's just what an organ is. And then when we have groups of organs come together to perform a specific role, what do we call that?
Organ system.
Organ system.
Organ
Very
systems.
organ system, very good. So organ system is a group of systems working together to form a major function. And when we have a group of systems working together, what do we call that? Groups of systems working together. What do we call that?
An
Organism.
organism.
An
I don't know.
organism. An organism. An organism. Yeah, you're right. An organism. Very good. Okay, so that's what we have. So the different types of tissue that we have, obviously we talk about the epithelial tissue, the nervous tissue, and the muscle tissue, and the connective tissue. Um, the epithelial tissue, it can be found in the epidermis of the skin, and obviously its function there is protection. It has a protective rule. It also helps with regulation of what? Regulation of temperature, right? But like I said, when you think about it, epithelial, don't just think about um, protection. Think also about absorption and secretion and also excretion, right? Because your epidermis also secretes what? What does it secrete to keep you cool?
Sweat.
It secretes sweat. Very good. And the as the wind blow on the sweat, the water vapor is gonna it's like basically it's gonna cool you down, right? So the skin is a good example of epithelial tissue, but again, like I said, it has absorption, secretion, excretion, and protective roles. Then we have the connective tissue. When I think about the connective tissue, I think about the blood. That may be weird, but the blood is actually a tissue, right? It's weird, right? But the blood is a tissue. It's a liquid tissue. Like, how do you get a liquid tissue? Yeah, you have a liquid tissue. So the blood is the example of a liquid tissue. Um, Obviously the blood is made up of what? Red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, plasma, right? 45% of the blood is erythrocytes or red blood cells. 55% of it is plasma. And that little small percent is going to be your leukocytes or your white blood cells, and the other platelets and all them other stuff, right? But that's not the only type of connective tissue. What other type of connective tissue we have besides the blood? I already give you all the blood. What else? What other type we have of connective tissue?
We have
Cartilage.
Cartilage,
bone.
very good. The bone. Um, and the tendons are also, all those are example of connective tissue. They're really there like to be rigid, right? So it's going to protect the body parts. It's going to store substances. For example, your bone store substances. What are some substances that your bone store, or like minerals that your bone store? If y'all may know, y'all may not know, but your bone store.
Bone marrow.
Okay, that's true. It makes the red blood cells in the bone marrow. But I was thinking more like calcium and phosphorus, right? Those are substances that are stored inside the bone. Okay, so that's that. Then we have the muscle tissue. There are three types of muscle tissues that we have, and all three are important. Can y'all tell me the three types of muscle tissue that we have? Three types of muscle tissue. Very good, Shekinah. Calcium.
We have stratified.
Okay. Okay. So smooth muscle tissue. Yeah, that's one. Skeletal. Uh-huh. Thank you, Jasmine. So smooth muscle tissue, skeletal muscle tissue, and there's one more, cardiac muscle tissue. Those are the three easiest ones. And all of them have distinct shapes and functions. So smooth muscle tissue, obviously they're going to be found in your GI tract. They're going to be found lining the walls of your digestive organs. All those the smooth muscles they're there for the involuntary movement really, because peristalsis is going to be the series of contractions that cause the food to flow down. That is because of the smooth muscles. Skeletal muscle is very easy. Some people have very big biceps and triceps. Those are skeletal muscle cells, right? Not muscle tissue, because they help with movement and help you to lift stuff. And obviously, the cardiac muscle tissue or muscle cell, that is, the end all be all. You can't live without that. It's involuntary, right? So that's that. And then finally, so that's muscle tissue. And then finally, we have the nervous tissue. So nervous tissue, we're gonna find them in the brain. We're gonna find them in the nerves, spinal cord and stuff. They are there for like specialized function. They're there for like transmitting electrical impulses, all that good stuff. That is the nervous tissue. All right. Am I missing anything? Okay, this is a summary of it's like a table to summarize everything. Um, in the PDFs that I send, you can find the summary. This is a good summary to where you could find all those things. If I were you, I would learn this, be familiar with it. You don't have to learn it exactly, but just be familiar with those things. All right. And good. So with that being said, let's do another Kahoot. So the Kahoot is going to be based on this one. So again, with the Kahoot, anyone could participate. And I'm not going to give you all as many questions. I'm probably maybe going to test you all on 5 of them because I don't want us to be doing like 25 questions each. So maybe like 5 or 4. Yeah, maybe like 5 or 7. And then we're going to move on from that. All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you all. And we're going to go on off of that. Right. So, okay. So let me host this. So we're going to go on to the Kahoot now. The Kahoot is just basically testing what we just talked about. Right. And I'm sure all of you are going to do pretty well. Right. So with the Kahoot, it's kind of weird because you have to not only get the right answer, but you have to be fast as well. So that's the thing, right? So let's go. So with this one, I'm going to put the link inside the chat. And we probably just going to do maybe like 5 of them because we really run out of time. And we could be on our way, right? Because I want us to get into the planes and stuff. So let me put the link inside the chat. Again, if you get the answer correct, if first place, I have something for you when I see you in class. All right. Very good, Rebecca. Okay. Very good, Kalia. Very good. The rest of us, you just could join using the link, and we'll be good to go. All right. Very good, Charisma. Okay, so 8 of us has joined. The rest of us, are we joining? Let me know. We all join in. If you don't know how to join, just let me know, because I could let you know how to join. All right.
Yeah, I'm joining, but it's taking a little while.
It's taking a little while. What you using? You using like your phone or like what you using?
Sometimes
That's you.
in meeting on Zoom.
That's you, Shekinah? Who just
No,
joined? Okay, my bad.
no, I don't think you know me.
I thought that the person who just joined was you. My bad.
No, that's okay, that's okay.
Okay. But you say you're trying to join, but it's just taking a while, right? So we'll wait on you.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Very good. All right, so yeah, it's probably moving slow. Yeah, but she's on now, so we good. All right, so let's go. But we ain't not gonna do a lot of questions. I'm just gonna probably do like 5 of them. So make each one count. All right, so first question. A cell is best described as, I think it's an easy question. A cell is best described as, yeah, that's easy. Everyone should get this one. Everyone should get this one, I hope. I hope we all get this. The smallest unit of life. Very good. The smallest unit of life. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Very good, everyone. Next question is, which level comes after the cell? I think that's easy. Yes, tissue. Okay, this one I'm gonna skip, so you don't have to answer it. I'm gonna skip this one. I'm gonna skip the next one, all right? So don't answer this one. Tissue is defined as, you already know that. I'm gonna skip that. Let's skip that. Next. Don't answer this one either. I'm gonna skip this one too. Don't answer this one. I want to get to the tissue stuff. Okay, so yes. How many main animal tissue types exist? How many main animal tissue types exist? You could answer this. How many main animal tissue types exist? How many main animal tissue types exist? Very good. 4. At least the ones that we talked about. Next. Which tissue is tightly packed cells? Has tightly packed cells? Which tissue has tightly packed cells? Tissue has tightly packed cells. Which tissue has tightly packed cells? Correct. Very good. Epithelial. Epithelial has tightly packed cells. Yeah. Remember, it has to be tightly packed because otherwise, how could it be protective, right? It has to be tightly packed. Okay, I'm gonna skip this one. I'm gonna skip this one. I'm gonna skip this one. X. So don't answer it. No, I'm gonna skip this one too. I'm gonna skip this one. I'm gonna skip this one, so don't answer this one. Skip. Nope. Skip. Yes. What is the main function of muscular tissue? What is the main function of muscular tissue? The main function of muscular tissue. And this one is also easy. Yes, produce movement. I think we all got that. Everyone should be on the same page. Good. Which tissue is made up of neurons? Which tissue is made up of neurons? Which tissue is made up of neurons? Nervous tissue, very good. Next. Answer this. Nervous tissue controls body activities. That's pretty easy. True or false? Nervous tissue controls body activities. True or false? True, very good. Brain, spinal cord, and nerves are what? Brain, spinal cord, and nerves are what? Nervous tissue, very good. Which level is a group of organs? Which level is a group of organs? Which level is a group of organs? Very good. Organ system. Which tissue store substances? Which tissue store substances? Which tissue store substances? Which tissue store substances? We talk about this. Which tissue store substances? It's the connective tissue. Remember, the connective tissue is going to be the one that's going to store. We might talk about the bone as being like a storage thing. Yeah, and bone is connective. All right, let me have last two double points. Which tissue transmit impulses? Which tissue transmit impulses? Which tissue transmit impulses? Very good, nervous tissue. Very good, guys. And finally, last question. An organism is made up of blank. An organism is made up of blank. Very good. All right, so the person who win this time would be, so very good. I can't pronounce your name. Hey, Haley. Very good, Jasmine. And very good. Who
Haley.
won this
It's
time?
pronounced
Haley.
Haley.
Haley. Oh, that's a good name. Sierra was Sierra. Oh, I'm bad at pronouncing. But you all did pretty well. Very good, guys. All right, good stuff. So Sierra, when you see me, please let me know you face to face so I can be able to give you your thing. I have a lot of things to give out by the time it's time for class, so that's no problem. Okay, so let's go and do the third one. So the third one is going to be, let me go ahead and share my screen again. So the third one is, so we did, the third one is, okay, this one was good, but this one is interesting. I felt like this one was a repeat of what we already did when I was doing. I was like, why did you put this twice? But there's a slight difference. Initially, I thought that it was just the same thing as like levels of organization, but began to learn very quickly that it's not exactly the same thing. It's similar, but it's not exactly the same thing, right? So we're going to be looking at the 5 levels of organization and organismal complexity. So let's talk about the first one. The first one and the most simplest one. If I ask you, what is the most simplest level of organization, what would you tell me?
Protoplasmic.
Protoplasmic. Very good. Protoplasmic is the most simple level of organization. And this, when we talk about, in terms of organisms, because if we go lower, we could actually go to the chemical level and start talking about atoms and molecules. But in biology, obviously, they're talking about living things. So the simplest one would be the protoplasmic level. Can someone tell me what happens in the protoplasmic level? What do you know about the protoplasmic level? Like, so we know it's protoplasmic. What do you know about the protoplasmic level of organization? We know it's the simplest. I can give you all that. It's the simplest. What else do we know about it? What sort of organisms can you tell me that you think are going to be in the protoplasmic level?
Unicellular.
Say it again.
Is it unicellular?
Unicellular organisms. Very good. They're going to be unicellular organisms. For example, we talked about certain types of unicellular organisms. So hopefully y'all can give me examples of unicellular organisms. Like what? What are some unicellular organisms that would be in this level?
The amoeba.
The amoeba, the paramecium. What else?
Certain fungi.
Yeah, certain fungi, the yeast, right? So when we talk about unicellular, when we talk about protoplasmic level, we're talking strictly about our unicellular organisms, the simplest ones. So any type of protozoan animal, remember protozoans are like your amoeba and your paramecium, they are animal-like in nature, right? So they have animal behavior, right? Then we have, like we say, it's the simplest level. The entire body consists of a single mass of protoplasm and is enclosed in a membrane. This is basically describing the unicellular organism. That's all this thing basically describing. And it's basically going to tell you the same thing we learned already, that all of the functions, locomotion, nutrition, all of them happens within the boundaries of the protoplasmic components and the cell's organisms. So that we already know. We knew that from unicellular organisms. The important thing to know is that there's no division into tissues. There can't be any division of tissues. Um, there can't be any division of tissues, and I know that you all know why, because tissues only are going to be formed if you have groups of cells. The problem with protoplasmic level is that there's only one cell. So how can there be like tissues? So protoplasmic level is the smallest, the simplest one, and that consists of the unicellular organisms. We good? So what y'all think is the next level of organization after the protoplasmic level? Is what? The next level of organization is, don't be shy,
Cellular.
cellular level. Very good. So cellular level, this is where things became a little complicated for me because I was thinking cellular level, when you talk about cellular level, they're talking about, you know, cells in the body or whatever. Nope, they're not really talking about that. They're talking about organisms like your sponges or your peripheral, right? So we're talking about, so the cellular level is the first time that we see multicellular organisms. However, we're talking about simple multicellular organisms like your sponges or your peripheral. There is no true tissues at this level. No true tissues at this level. So please remember that. No true tissues are at this level. Even though you have multiple cells working together and cooperating together, we don't call that a tissue yet. They don't form differentiated layers of tissue with specialized roles. So don't think about true tissues here yet. But just think about groups of cells, simple, that work together, that is going to function, but it's not going to have like a separate different rules like that, right? So next we have, this is also another example in the backdrop, that's the peripheral. That's also like a type of sponge. So each cell largely retains its individual capabilities, though some division of labor may begin to emerge. This represents an advance over the protoplasmic level by having multiple cells cooperating. So even though we have multiple cells, so that's the difference between the protoplasmic and the cellular, is that the unicellular, or the protoplasmic, it's only one cell doing all the jobs. But then for cellular level, we have a slight advancement because now we could start talking about multicellular organisms, but we're not like talking about major multicellular organisms. We're just talking about the multicellular organisms that have a little few cells here and there that could do little something. No true tissues, none of that. Just multicellular simple, not big division of labor, none of that stuff, right? So that's what we talking about when we talk about the cellular level. So think sponges, think peripheral when you think about cellular level. When you think protoplasmic, think amoeba, think paramecium, think protozoan. All right? Hopefully that makes a little sense to you all. Now, the example is on the screen. I already have it here. We have the jellyfish. This is going to be a third level of organization. Can someone tell me what is the third level of organization based on our curriculum or syllabus? The
Tissue
third level.
level.
Say it again.
Tissue level.
Very good. The tissue level. Very good. So we have the tissue level. So that's going to be a cell tissue level. This is where you have groups. This is the first. This is like, iconic because this is like the first time we have true tissues being formed, right? They ain't turned into organs yet. It's just true tissues. We're talking about stuff like your jellyfish, like your hydra, like your calenterates, right? The thing I don't know if y'all did labs. Anyone did labs last week? If y'all did labs if you're able to do labs last week, and we had to draw the hydra, right? So we're talking about that, like your hydra, your jellyfish. This is where you have, yeah, you had the labs. Good. I hate drawing labs. I hate biological drawings. I am a terrible drawer. However, we still had to do it. So this is where your cells start to form tissues. True tissues forms similar cells aggregate into definite parts and to form tissues with a common function. The organism shows the beginning of true tissue differentiation where groups of cells specialize for protection, digestion, and support. However, there's not going to be um there's not going to be any organs formed. Organs are formed in the next level. So this is above cellular level because it's a little more complex because now we start having true tissues, but it's not the organ level yet. Or we don't have any organs yet. The organs are going to be in the next level. Can someone tell me what's the next level? What's the next level?
Organ.
It's organ, but there's a word we use.
Not tissue organ or something.
Tissue organ. Very good. Tissue organ. So tissue organ is going to be a next level. And the way I remember that is that tissue forms an organ. So that's how they like do it. So you have protoplasmic, you have cellular, you have cell tissue, and then you have tissue organ. Those are the four that we have so far. So tissue organ is where you start having your true organs. So this is where the example is right on the screen. Your flatworm, we start to have these tissues come together, different tissues come together. They make in distinct organs. These organs have specialized rules. For example, your flatworm. The organ is a structural unit made up of two or more different types of tissues working together, the digestive organ, all that good stuff, right? This is a tissue organ level. And whatever, this is nice, this is a nice, what they call this? A nice, do you know this is a flatworm in a block here? I don't know if y'all could see it, but this is a flatworm.
Yeah, I think it's like a flamingo or something. Somebody was saying what somebody said you.
No, it looks good. I thought, you know what?
And
I,
it's kind of like a Spanish dancer, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, something I can't remember.
I thought it was a nice picture of a flatworm. Out of all the flatworm pictures I could have find, I think this is a very good one, right? But it's a flatworm. Flatworm is where we have the tissue organ level. We have organs in there. This is a greater level of complexity than your cell tissue, because now we have tissues being formed. These tissues, different tissues working together, having a specific task. We have organs. All right. Okay, so now we have the highest level of complexity, and the highest level of complexity will be your what?
Organ system level of organization.
Organ system level of organization. This is where we begin. This is where we enter the chat. This is where humans begin to enter the chat, where we have our organ system. This is the highest level of complexity that's found in most higher animals, like your annelids, your arthropods, your chordates, which is the humans, and your any huge multicellular organism would be found in there, right? So we have major systems. Can someone tell me some systems that they know? Systems that you know.
Digestive.
Digestive system, respiratory,
Circulatory.
circulatory system, right? Respiratory system. All these are different types of systems that we have, right? Reproductive system, yeah. And all these systems work in unison, obviously, to form the whole human system or the whole organism, right? So organ system, different organs coordinate and work together to form organ systems, digestive, nervous system, circulatory system. And what's important to know about the organ system level is that they are integrated, right? What that means is that they don't function independently. However, they function interdependently. Can someone break that down for me? I know that what do it mean that they function interdependently? What does that mean? Like this as on the screen, but what does that mean? Like what are they trying to say? Don't be shy. I sure y'all know.
Can you please repeat the question?
We say that our organ system level, we have organs function interdependently, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean for them to function interdependently?
That means that if one of the systems fail, that it will affect the others.
Very good. Very good. That's a good point. So that means that one affects the other, right? So think about this. Your reproductive system, what does your reproductive system depend on? Which system or systems does your reproductive system depend on? Think about it.
Circulatory.
It definitely depends on the circulatory system because it needs blood, right? What else does it depend on? It depends on what? Very good. It depends on the endocrine system. It definitely depends on that for the estrogen. It definitely depends on the nervous system because where are you going to go without the brain, right? So yeah, you have these systems, but these systems work independently. Each one depends on the other, right? Where would the nervous system be without the heart, right? Like they depend on each other, but not so when we come to the when we talk about like the very simple ones, like your protoplasmic level, we just have that one cell doing everything, right? Like that one cell working by itself. That one cell, that's it, right? But when we start talking about the like a major organism, we have different complexity. And if you have different complexity, you need different people working on different tasks. And I depended on you to get this thing to work, right? So it's not like a solo job, right? So that's what we're talking about. So that brings us to the end of that. I'm not going to have a quiz on that because that could take us too long. I just want us to go straight into the symmetry and planes. Okay, so we could get everything covered because we have to leave here very soon. So symmetry and anatomical planes I had a very fun time doing this one. So let's talk about different types of symmetry. So first of all, what types of symmetry do you know off the bat? What types of symmetry do you know?
Radial symmetry, bilateral
Uh-huh.
symmetry.
We know radial symmetry, very good. We know bilateral symmetry. What else type of symmetry do we know?
Spherical symmetry,
Spherical symmetry, spherical symmetry. Okay, asymmetry. So y'all are definitely on point. So we're gonna talk about all of them except for asymmetry, right? So let's first start talking about spherical symmetry. Spherical symmetry took me a hard time to really to get. But basically, when you think about spherical symmetry, you're thinking about a sphere, right? Or like a ball, like a basketball, a football, not a football, a basketball, a soccer ball, volleyball. I don't know if you all play those things over here, but all those things are spheres. Now think about a sphere, right? If you have a sphere and you cut that sphere in half, right? What would happen to the different two sides? They will give you what? What would they be? It would be like a
Perfect halves.
it will be perfect halves. Very good. That's basically what spherical symmetry is. Once a body can do that, it's a spherical symmetry because this what says it's a body arrangement in which any plane that passes through the center of the organism divides it into two identical mirror image halves. So it doesn't matter whether we cut it horizontally, whether we cut it vertically. It doesn't matter where we cut this thing. Once we are able to cut it through the center and is able to give us an identical half through any plane, we call that spherical symmetry. And that's what spherical symmetry is, right? Does that make sense? Hopefully that helps a bit.
Yeah.
A
Go ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
Everybody else still seeing the organ system level slide, or is just me?
Wait, let me go back. Let me go to symmetry. All right, so how about this? Can you see it now?
Yeah, I seen it now. Okay, my screen was ticking. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Good. So basically, it doesn't matter where you cut it. It doesn't matter where you cut it. Like, it's still gonna cut in two halves, right? So that's that. All right, next, what we have? Um, so spherical symmetry, like we say, it has the shape of a sphere, right? Um, and this the thing is, it doesn't have a definite front, back, or bottom. Now, you may be like, what do you mean it don't have a definite front, back, or bottom? Think about it. If you have a sphere, if you have a ball, where's the front of the ball? How do you know the front of the ball? How do you know the front of the ball? You don't know the front of the ball. How do you know the back of the ball? All them the same side. It doesn't have the front, it doesn't have a front, it doesn't have a back, it doesn't have a bottom. It's like literally the same thing all around. Does that make sense? That's why it's spherical symmetry. It's doesn't have no front, back, or bottom. It's usually found in volvox, so green algae. So some good examples of this would be the volvox. Like I think he gave us this in class as well. The volvox is a good example of spherical symmetry. But there are also good examples of spherical symmetry besides the volvox. You also have but it's really found in like simple animals, simple organisms, and it's very rare. So we found it. We could find it in. I don't know if y'all can pronounce this word, but it's hard for me to pronounce. But I'll just pronounce it like this: Haliozoia. That's a type of protozoa. We found it in that as well. As you can see, it doesn't matter where we cut it; it's still gonna give us equal halves, right? That is uh spherical symmetry. Okay. Next we have. This is also I saw this one inside of our book. This is spherical symmetry, not our book, inside of Miss Jolly slides or her lecture thingy. But this is also spherical symmetry. I think this is the radiolaria. I think that's what this one is, right? It doesn't have a name, but I think this is the radiolaria. The radiolaria, a type of unicellular organism. Okay, now we have radial symmetry. Radial symmetry, for radial symmetry, you need a central axis. So you're gonna have a central axis and it's gonna be cut it into several planes using that central axis. So that's pretty easy. Um, So examples would be, so obviously it's going to cut it into distinct upper and lower halves, all that good stuff. And these are good examples of it. So like you have the leaf, the flower, the orange slice, the starfish. All them stuff are good examples of radial symmetry. Um, can someone tell me the names of these things? So we can go one by one. What is this? This is radial symmetry, but what is the name of this organ?
Is that a sea anemone?
A sea anemone? You want to lock that in?
Yeah. Is it?
All right. All right, that's Hydra. This is Hydra. It's not a sea anemone. But the next one is a sea anemone. The one in the middle. You probably was talking about this one. But yeah, this is a sea anemone. And then finally, what's the last one? What is this last one? This is a what? Everyone noticed. Y'all was probably shy.
A
A
starfish.
starfish.
A starfish. Very good. Definitely a starfish. All right, good. Good stuff. It is a starfish. Okay, now, so that's all these is radial symmetry. Obviously, you have a central axis, and they could cut it through that, right? Okay, so bilateral symmetry, in my opinion, is the easiest one because it's literally like lines of symmetry that we learned in high school. You all are familiar with line of symmetry, right? So remember, with line of symmetry, you could cut the image in half, and one side is the same thing as the other side. Y'all remember line of symmetry? I don't know if y'all remember line of symmetry from high school maths. Or y'all never did that. Someone say vaguely,
Yeah,
vaguely.
I remember.
Yeah, line of symmetry. So line of symmetry in high school maths is just basically you have a line, you cut through it. It's like what we did in like when they teach this in the primary school students. Like you have a shape and then you just find out how you could cut it so that each side would be the same. That's some bilateral symmetry. And this is easy. This is the easiest one, bilateral symmetry. All right. Um, Okay, next we have so bilateral symmetry, obviously the butterfly is bilateral symmetry. And also bilateral symmetry have distinct left and right sides, as well as defined anterior and posterior end. The symmetry supports directional movement and cephalization. Does anyone know what is cephalization? Cephalization. We gotta cover that, but does anyone know what is cephalization? He talked about that briefly in class as well. Cephalization. Um, don't be shy.
It's developing
As
in
the
our head.
developer now.
Go ahead, Samantha.
Is that when they develop a head?
Yes, very good. So that's basically when you develop like all of your sensory organs and perception, and for example the human, if you look at the human, we have cephalization because what is in our head? Literally our eyes, literally the nose, literally the ears, literally the mouth, right? We have a lot of sensory perception inside of our head. That is cephalization. Cephalization is when all of the nervous system components are concentrated in the head area. That's cephalization. All right, does that make sense to you all? Let me know if that makes sense. So civilization is,
Civilization
Yeah, it
is
does.
yeah, where everything is in the anterior region, like she said, in the head. All right, so that's civilization. So, but usually civilization and bilateral symmetry, they're associated with each other. Now let's talk about the planes, our favorite part, right? The frontal plane. So let's talk about the frontal plane. What do we know about the frontal plane? So the frontal plane, anyone can help me with that? If you know, you can tell
you
me.
know, tell me.
Well, how I remember it is that like if you're looking at a glass,
Mm-hmm.
like you're looking out a window, the pane is like facing you to the like the front of you. That's how I
Uh-huh.
remember it. So it's
Yeah.
like a vertical. No, sorry,
Yes.
horizontal.
Not horizontal.
Not horizontal.
It's not horizontal. It
No,
is vertical.
it's vertical. Very
It's
good.
vertical. Very good.
That's a very good example, an explanation. The way I remember it is that I just think about what it divides each thing into. So frontal plane is going to divide it into anterior and posterior. That's what frontal plane does. So like it's a vertical plane and it's going to divide the thing into front and back. So any plane that divides the entity into front and back, that's the frontal plane. So for example, if we look at this carefully, obviously you have this plane right here, and this plane divides the shape or the organism, in this case the human, into the front side and into the back side. That is the frontal plane, or sometimes they call it coronal plane. Very easy. Front and back, the plane that divides itself into front and back, that's your frontal plane. I think I should have more pictures of here. Yeah. So if you want to show it like, in 3D, kind of. If you see this frontal plane, this is the frontal plane right there. This is the front, this is the back. The frontal plane is going to divide it, the front and back. Left and right is another plane. Up and down is another plane. But front and back, that's your frontal plane. Okay? Now we're going to talk about, that's another example. Obviously, the frontal plane, like I said, front and back, frontal plane. Okay? Now, sagittal plane. Sagittal plane, that is what, wait, let me not say it. Anyone can tell me? I hurry up and take it out. And you can tell me, sagittal plane, what is that divided into? Sagittal plane, that divides us into what?
Is it left and right?
Left and right. They're very good. So let's like quickly review it. So frontal plane is what? Divides us into what and what? Frontal plane is gonna do what?
Front and back.
Front and back. Very good. And then sagittal plane is gonna do what? Divide us into what?
Left and right.
Left and right. Very good. So the sagittal plane divides the body into left and right proportions. So this is your sagittal plane right here. Very easy. Left and right. That's the sagittal plane. Another example of the sagittal plane, left and right. But like I said, the frontal plane, it divides the thing into front and back area. Okay. Okay. Then we have the same thing, sagittal plane, left and right, frontal plane, front and back. And that's your frontal plane. So now transverse plane. Transverse plane is also very easy. Um, what two sections you think transverse plane is going to divide us into?
Upper and a lower.
Very good. Upper and a lower, up and down, right? That's transverse plane, up and lower.
Up and lower.
So So that's what the transverse plane does. So the transverse plane is going to divide us into upper and lower, inferior, superior, which is upper, and inferior, which is lower region. That's a transverse plane, upper and lower, right? Um, good. Then we have it all together. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it inside the chat, and I want y'all to tell me what y'all think it is. So put your answer inside the chat. What is A? Put your answer inside the chat for me, please. A is the first one. Which plane is this? A. Okay, if you don't know how to spell it, just put the beginning of the letter, like that, the beginning of it, what it like start with. So you could maybe say S plane, T plane, you know, whatever, if you don't know how to spell it properly. But which plane is this one? And A, which plane is that one? I see two answers in the chat already. The rest of us, y'all put your answer. Which plane is A? Remember, it divides us into, this plane divides this lady into left and right. So which plane does that? Which plane does that? Very good, the sagittal plane. So the first one is the sagittal plane. All right, good. Then we have the next one, which is going to be B. Which plane is B? B is what? Very good. B is, most persons got that. B is the frontal plane, right? The frontal plane. How do we know it's the frontal plane? How y'all guess that? How y'all know it's like the frontal plane? How do you know it's the frontal plane? Front and back.
Because
Very good.
it's literally putting her into her front and her back.
It's literally splitting into front and back. You can literally see it, right? As the frontal plane. Then we have the last one. Y'all can put your answer, which is C, is the last one. The last one is the what? Last one is the transverse plane. Very good. And the transverse plane, anyone? What does transverse plane split us into? What does the transverse plane split us into? Very good. Up and down. Up and down. Very good. Okay, so um someone said ventral and dorsal. That's not correct.
And ventral and dorsal is for the isn't that you could also say for the frontal plane as well?
Ventral and dorsal in a human? No, not for transverse plane. Because transverse plane, we're really talking about upper and lower, right?
Oh no, I think you're confused. I was trying to say that she could use dorsal and frontal dorsal for the
For the
frontal
frontal,
plane. That's what I
yeah,
was trying
okay,
to say.
yeah. For the frontal for sure. For the frontal for sure. But not for the transverse. For transverse, you could use upper and lower, or you could use superior and inferior. Okay. Okay, good. All right, so that's good. Let's move on from this. Any questions before we move on to something else? Any questions on the planes and symmetry and all that good stuff before I move on to my next one? Any questions on that? Let me know. Feel good? You good? Don't be shy.
Yeah,
Don't be shy.
I'm good.
You good? All right. The rest of us, we good, right? Let me see if someone have a question in the chat. Ventral and also, yeah, it depends on the organism. That's correct. Okay, so we did symmetry. Now, next thing we're gonna go into the levels of organization, symmetry. Oh, this is very important. The anatomical terms for the regions of the body, right? So this is good. So this one is where things get nice. So anatomical terms for describing the regions of the body. So we already talked about the symmetry. We talked about spherical symmetry, radial symmetry, bilateral symmetry. We talk about the planes, we talk about our frontal plane, we talk about our sagittal plane, we talk about our transverse plane. Now we're talking about the regions of the body. So we're gonna first talk about the anterior region. In your own words, what do we mean by the anterior region? What's the anterior region about? How you describe the anterior region? That as well. The anterior
The
region.
back.
The anterior. Close. What's the opposite from the back?
It's the front.
The front, exactly. The front. The front is absolutely right. So the anterior region is the front end. So wherever your head is, that is the anterior region. So if you look at this pig, obviously the anterior region would be the one in the front. It's the head of the pig. So if the anterior is the head, what do you think the posterior is? The posterior obviously is going to be what? It's obviously going to be the back or the rear end, right? The rear end. So anterior is the front, posterior is going to be the back end. Okay. Now, if you notice, this image is of a four-footed beast, right? So the anterior is going to be wherever the head is, and the posterior is going to be at the back end where the tail and the anus is, right? So that's the anterior and posterior. Now let's go to dorsal and the other one, the opposite from dorsal. So dorsal is going to be the upper surface or the back of the body. So a best way to look at it is if you look at the horse, right? So if you are going to jump on a horse, where are you going to jump on the horse? You're definitely going to jump on the dorsal side of the horse or the back of the horse. That is the dorsal side. So the dorsal is the back. Anywhere towards the back of the body is the dorsal side, right? So let's recap. Um, Anterior is the head region. Posterior is your rear end where you do number 2. And dorsal is going to be the back. So on the horse, the back is where people sit on, right? The ventral is going to be the one that is opposite to the back. That's going to be the underside, the lower surface, or the belly. All right? The belly is going to be the dorsal. So let me do a quick review. Anterior, that is toward what?
The head.
Toward the head. Very good. Posterior, that is toward where? So anterior is
Like
head.
a horse
Uh,
tail or the anus.
Very good. Anterior is head. Posterior is going to be near the rear end, right? Now, dorsal is going to be where? Where's dorsal going to be? Toward what? Where's dorsal going to be?
Along like the back of the horse.
Very good. The back of the horse, right? The back of the horse. And ventral is going to be where? So dorsal is to the back. Ventral is where?
The underside.
Underside is or the belly. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Good. So I'm going to ask the question this way, and you're going to tell me what y'all think it is. Which region is toward the head? We call that toward the head. What we call that region? That's toward the head.
Anterior.
Anterior, very good. Which region is toward the rear end? Toward the rear end.
Posterior.
Posterior, very good. Which region is toward the belly?
Dorsal. Oh no,
Ve-
ventral.
Ventral, very good. And which region is toward the backside? Not backside, but the back area,
The dorsal.
the dorsal, very good. So that's how we do the different regions, right? So any questions before I move on? Let me know. So in a human, the weird thing about the human is that the human stands upright. So because the human stands upright, the ventral and anterior region is the same thing. And the dorsal and the posterior is the same thing. And it makes sense because we said that the dorsal is the back. Where's the back in the human? Literally your back, right there. Where's the posterior? The posterior is usually where the buttocks is, right? And that's the same place. So the back and the rear end is the same thing, right? The same thing for the anterior and ventral. They're the same thing, right? They referring to the same thing in humans, right? So just remember that. For a four-footed beast, the anterior and posterior are not the same as the dorsal and ventral, right? They're different. And then superior is upper, inferior is lower. Okay, so that's all our regions. So here we have a fish, and the same thing is true. Anterior is the head, posterior is the behind, dorsal is the back of the fish. Ventral is the belly of the fish. Do y'all feel like y'all have a good understanding of these regions now? Or at least a little better? Let me know. Been making a little sense to
Yeah.
y'all. That's good.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, good. All right, so let's move on. So now we're gonna talk about the pectoral. So people who do fitness and stuff, you all know about pectoral stuff. Pectoral refers to anything like your chest and shoulder region. Like this region shown right here, your pectoral region. Chest and shoulders, that's your pectoral regions. Anything associated with that is your pectoral region, right? Then we have the pelvic region. This is going to be a region that is going to be under a lot of stress during the carnival season. So the pelvic region refers to the hip or the trunk area associated with the hind limbs and rear appendages. This is your pelvic region. I think the picture says it all, right? Then we have the medial region. So the medial region, Jasmine, why you? The medial region is going to be, so medial is toward, right? Medial is toward. So medial is going to be toward the midline, toward the midline, toward the midline. That's what medial is. So you have the midline, obviously the midline is here, but the medial is going to be toward the midline, and the lateral obviously is going to be away from the midline. All right. So lateral is away from the midline, medial is toward the midline. Okay. And that's basically it. That's everything. We don't need any more. All right. Does that make sense to y'all? We good? Let me know if we good.
Could you say over about the medial and lateral?
Okay, good. So for the lateral is going to be away from the body or away from the midline. Right? That's the lateral. So the midline is basically this vertical line that cuts the image, almost like the sagittal plane. So it cuts the image in half, right? The lateral is going to be any direction away from that. Away from that is the lateral. But toward
Okay.
it, yeah, toward it is going to be the medial, right? So toward it is medial. Away from it is lateral. Does that make sense?
Okay. So like
Uh-huh.
um if we all had like an imaginary line to the middle of us, right? So
Mhm.
like your left side would kind of be like your lateral, and then your right side would be like your medial.
No. So lateral could be both ways. So you have this imaginary line, right? So I can show you where lateral is. So lateral is obviously this way, right? That's lateral because it's away from the midline, right? But this way is also lateral too because it's still away from the midline. So anything away from the midline is lateral, right?
Okay.
Right? That makes sense? It could be going this way or this way once it's away from the midline.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, medial is going to be toward the midline. It doesn't matter which direction. So it could be going this way or this way. Once it's towards the midline, we call it medial, right? That makes sense to you?
Yeah, I understand now.
Okay, good.
Because I was looking at it now and I was like, I wonder if it could mean like the both directions, but I understand now.
Yeah, it could go both directions. Yeah, it could go both directions. All right, any other questions for me? We good? Let me know if you all understand this. Or any questions? Let me know. Don't be afraid to ask a question. All right, so good. So now next. Um, okay, so now we already did all of the anatomical terms for that. Now I want us to get into what else we have to do now. We already did that. We have to do my favorite one of them all. Probably our least favorite, right? Body plans. Diploblastic, triploblastic, cilium, and acoelomate, right? So this should be fun, right? Should have a lot of fun with this one. Um, so the most important thing to learn with the diploblastic, triploblastic, and coelomate and acoelomate is germ layers. So that's the first thing we're gonna talk about. Like when we talk about each of these things, the first thing we need to know is germ layers. You're not seeing. I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah, I was now gonna tell you.
Each one of these on a different thing. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so okay, good. All right, so the first thing is body plans in animals, diploblastic, triploblastic, and coelomate and acoelomate. So the first thing is um knowing what germ layers are, right? So because each of these, like whether it be diplo or triplo or coelomate or acoelomate, refers to some sort of germ layer. Okay. So let's talk about what germ layers are. So a germ layer is basically a raw material that is going to grow into something. So let me say that again. So you have an embryo, right? So obviously, you know, fertilization happens, the sperm and the egg meet, right? Tell me something. After the sperm and the egg meet, well, when the sperm and the egg meet, right? Egg cell meet, what do we call that process? Right? The fusion of the sperm cell and the egg cell. What do we call that phenomenon? That is what? The fusion of the sperm cell.
Fertilization.
Fertilization. Very good. So that's fertilization. After fertilization, what happens in a human? What after that we have the fertilization. What happens? Where does that entity go? Does it just like float around? Like where does it go? Because you have fertilization. After that, something else happens. I think most persons here, if not all of us, except for me, and yeah, except for me, all of you all here are female, so you all should know exactly what happens after fertilization. Start with I.
Is
Something
it not
is
implantation? Like it
eh,
is
eh, eh,
implanted
where?
the
Where's it
the
implanted?
uterus lining.
Very good. It's implanted in the uterine wall. Very good. So very good, very good. Oh, y'all type inside the chat. Okay, I'm not seeing that. So the next thing that happens is you have the implantation. So again, we're still talking about germ layers now. So when we talk about germ layers, I didn't really understand what they're talking about germ layers until I like really think about it. Germ layers are really, we're talking about an embryonic state, right? So this is stuff that will grow into something. So we're talking about 3 germ layers. Each of these germ layers are going to grow into something. The 3 germ layers that you need to know in order for you to understand diploblastic and triploblastic, you need to know what is the endoderm, what is the mesoderm, and what is the ectoderm. All these 3 are germ layers. They're going to grow into something. So let's talk about the endoderm. The endoderm, as the name suggests, endo, right? Endo means within, right? That's what endo means, right? Endo means inside. So the endoderm, this layer, is a germ layer. The cells in the endoderm is going to grow to be part of the digestive system, the liver, the pancreas, and the lungs. That's for the endoderm. Because remember, we're still inside the uterine wall, but we're looking at the embryo, right? Now, the one in the middle is the mesoderm layer. That layer is a germ layer. Like I said, raw material. The cells in the mesoderm are going to grow into what? And it's going to become what? Become a part of what? The cells in the mesoderm layer becomes what? The cells in the mesoderm layer now. What is it going to become? It's right there on the screen.
Circulatory system.
Very good. It's gonna become part of the circulatory system. Its cells are gonna become a part of the lungs, epithelial layers, skeletal system, and muscular system. And finally, you have the ectoderm, which is like the outer one, and it's gonna have cells. It's gonna develop into hair, nails, skin, and nervous system. So once you understand that we have 3 germ layers, that's the first thing to understand. What are the 3 germ layers? Y'all could tell me. We have 3 germ layers.
Endoderm,
Endoderm,
ectoderm, and
ectoderm.
mesoderm.
Very good. So those are the 3 germ layers. Now, and we know that each of those germ layers have a specific function. The The ectoderm has its own specific function. It's going to develop, its cells are going to develop into, the ectoderm itself is going to develop into the endocrine glands, the lungs, all that stuff. The mesoderm itself is going to develop into the muscles, skeleton, kidneys, whatever. And the ectoderm itself is going to develop into the nervous system, skin, and whatever, right? That's going to be the what these different layers are going to develop into. Like I said, 3 germ layers. Each of those cells are going to develop into something different, which is important. So now when we look at, so we already know our germ layers, we ain't going to go through them again. Now, when we talk about the diploblastic body plan, the diploblastic body plan is only going to have 2 germ layers. What are the 2 germ layers that the diploblastic body plan is going to have? It's only going to have 2 germ layers. What are the 2
It has
germ
the
layers?
endo and the ecto. Sorry,
Very good.
endoderm and the ectoderm, yeah.
Very good. It's only going to have it's going to have the ectoderm and it's going to have the endoderm. So my question is, my question goes to, where's Sierra? Sierra, can you hear me? I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Probably pronouncing it wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you. And
Okay.
yeah.
I pronouncing it right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, good. So the diploblastic, it contains the ectoderm and the endoderm. Which one is it missing?
It's missing the mesoderm. Mesoderm is in the triploblastic body plan.
Very good. It's missing the mesoderm, right? So that's the thing to remember for diploblastic. Diploblastic has 2 germ layers. It's missing the mesoderm. Okay. So diploblastic obviously is going to be a little bit more simpler, right? It's going to have radial symmetry. Examples are going to be the hydra, the jellyfish, and the arians. So why is it so significant? Well, with the endoderms, well, not endoderm, diploblastic, like we said, diploblastic is for basic stuff, simple formation. It's not going to have a lot of complexity because you need your mesoderm. You need the mesoderm for complexity. You need your mesoderms for your muscles and all them other stuff, right? So it's going to have limited specialization and complexity. It's not going to have like a lot of complexity, just very simple stuff for the diploblastic. So diploblastic is much more simpler compared to the triploblastic. Okay. Okay, so triploblastic body plan. It's gonna have 3 of those layers, right? It's gonna have 3 of those layers. Rachel, what are the 3 layers that the triploblastic body plan is gonna have?
The endo, meso, and ectoderm.
Very good. It's gonna have all 3 of them. It's gonna have the endo, ecto, and mesoderm. These are gonna be more like bilateral symmetry, like human beings. Some are gonna show secondary radial symmetry, but mostly bilateral symmetry, right? And we're looking at earthworm, insects, and humans. The significance of this is that now we have cephalization, head formation, we have directional movement, we have greater complexity, greater specialization, because now we have the mesoderm. So this is a good example of the 2. Like I said, both of them are gonna have the endoderm, the inner one. Both of them are gonna have the ectoderm, the outer one. But one has the non-living layer in the middle, and the other one has the mesoderm here. Do you all understand the difference now between the diploblastic and the triploblastic? You all understand the difference? Let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now I have a question for you all. You see this non-living layer here? What do we call that?
The mesoglia.
The mesoglia. Very good. We call it the mesoglia. So the mesoglia right here is the non-living layer we find in our diploblastic. It's not
Jellyfish.
the, say again? Jellyfish, yes, very good. In the jellyfish, right? Cnidarians, hydra, all that stuff. So it's different from the mesoderm. It's not the mesoderm. The mesoderm is not present in the diploblastic stuff, right? So now, since we don't really care about, no, not that we don't care, right? Because you gotta be humane and stuff. But since we only want to focus now on our triploblastic, we want to talk about advanced stuff. We want to talk about the advanced animals. We're not going to really talk about the simple ones. These 2 categories that we're going to be talking about are only present in triploblastic animals. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the acoelomate and I'm talking about the coelomate. Okay? These two categories are both triploblastic organisms. And Samantha, can you tell me what I mean by triploblastic? Samantha, if you there. When I say,
Three
when I
germ
say,
layers are
Three
present.
germ layers.
say it again.
It has the 3 germ layers.
It has a 3 germ layers. Very good. So acoelomate and coelomate body plan, we're really talking about triploblastic. Now, can someone tell me what we mean by acoelomate? It's literally in the name, acoelomate.
It doesn't have a coelom present.
It doesn't have a coelom present, right? Now, a coelom is basically a body cavity. And someone was asking, like, what do we mean by the coelom? But basically, you could think of the coelom as basically, so let's say, for example, right? I don't know if any of y'all have done this before, right? But let's say you have a balloon, right? Let's say you're a little child and you have a little balloon, and you're gonna fill that balloon with water, say, right? Anyone ever like play with water balloons before? Y'all probably not want to admit, but I did it before.
Yes,
Okay, good.
yes,
All right, so the water balloon is full of water. So imagine this water balloon full of water, and imagine, right? Imagine if you with me, that you have toys inside there. You have this toy, right? You have this toy, and you have this toy inside of the water balloon. Okay? Then imagine that you take this water balloon, you seal it. So we're gonna seal the water balloon. Close, right? If you shake this water balloon, right? What would happen to the contents inside what would happen to these toys? Remember, they're in a fluid-filled structure, right? Filled with water, right? What would happen to these what now? We're not talking about heavy toys. We're talking about toys that could actually, that has buoyancy. What's gonna happen to these toys inside of it? What's gonna happen? They're gonna start to what? What they're gonna do inside of this thing, inside of the water balloon?
They're gonna become displaced, they're going to move.
They're very good. They're gonna move, but more than that, they're gonna float around it, right? So the water is basically acting like a cushion. You understand? To help these toys float within it, right? That's basically the job of the coelom. So the coelom is a fluid-filled structure, it's a fluid-filled cavity, right? That cushions the organs. So it has the organs of because remember, we're talking about the embryo. It has the organs of our embryonic structure and the organs inside. Remember, the organs is going to grow, organs are going to expand, organs might shrink, right? But whatever the organ is going to do, it needs space, it needs cushion, it needs to be floating around, right? It needs to be protected. So the job of the coelom is like a cavity, a fluid-filled cavity that contains these organs that helps to cushion it, that helps to protect it, that helps it to float around, giving these organs buoyancy. All right, that's basically the job of the coelom, right? All right, any other, y'all understand that? Hopefully y'all, at least conceptually, you have a little idea of like what we mean when we say the coelom, right? A cavity, a body cavity where we have organs inside of it, primitive organs. I mean, like not fully formed organs, but the organs need a place to develop, to grow, so they wouldn't be bothered. And it's there inside of this fluid-filled cavity. That's the coelom. Okay. Now, acoelomates, obviously, acoelomates are not gonna have the body cavity, it's not gonna have the coelom. All right. The space between the gut and the wall is filled with solid mesodermal tissue. Um, this limits organ movement but allows simple body organization, efficient for diffusion-based transport, and acoelomates are triploblastic, like we said before. And we can find that mainly in the flatworms, like my flatworm in the background. That's where we find acoelomates. But coelomates, obviously, they're going to be more like your insects. These contain a fluid-filled body cavity, completely lined with mesoderm. It's what? The coelom allows organs to be what? suspended and move independently, improving efficiency. That's exactly what we talked about before, right? You have this fluid-filled space, this fluid-filled cavity, where the organs are, and they're going to suspend and move inside of this coelom. Okay? Examples would be your earthworms and your arthropods and your vertebrates. So this is an example. Notice that all three, if you look at this organ, this flatworm, and if you look at the annelid, both of these are triploblastic organisms. But can someone tell me what is the difference between the flatworm and the annelid? What is the difference between them? What is the difference?
The flatworm does not have a coelom, and the annelid does have a coelom.
Very good. So what do we call the flatworm since it doesn't have a coelom? Call it what?
Acoelomate.
An acoelomate. Very good. And what do we call the annelid since it does have a coelom? We call it a what?
Acoelomate.
A coelomate. Very good. So can y'all see the coelom? The coelom is right here. This is like a fluid-filled structure. Could you believe this simple structure? I was like, wow, this simple body cavity right here is what separates these two and is responsible for drastic changes, right? So this one has a coelom, this one doesn't have a coelom. There's look, no coelom here. That's the difference right there, literally the difference. We could go through all type of pictures. That's literally the difference between these two. That little cavity. I mean, I say little, but it's like to look at this, just this. And it's the difference between these two. Vast difference, right? But it doesn't have a coelomate. So sorry, bro. So coelomate here, coelom here, like I said, it's a body cavity, fluid-filled body cavity. All of them are triploblastic. They have mesoderm, they have ectoderm, they have endoderm. But coelom is very important because the coelom is gonna be where you have the organs there, they're gonna float, they're gonna suspend, they're going to be protected. Okay, this is the same thing, annelids. Again, coelom, no coelom. Okay. So biological significance of the coelom, we already talked about them. And he gave us some really good, like if you go to his slides, he did a very good job in talking about what the coelom does. But it provides space for the internal organs. It's a shock absorber because, obviously if you have something floating in a substance, obviously the water is going to absorb the shock, wouldn't it? The coelom allows it to move independently. It aids in circulation and distribution of nutrients. It enables body size and complexity, and it provides structural support in soft body animals by way of the hydrostatic skeleton. And he talked about that in class as well. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the hem. Oh boy, I have a trouble pronouncing this word, but hemocoel, right? Hemocoel. That's how it's pronounced. So the hemocoel, the way I like to think about the hemocoel is a blood cavity. That's all it is. It's a blood cavity. And the fancy word or the interesting word that we use for blood, animal blood, is hemolymph, right? So that's all the hemocoel is. It's just a blood cavity. What do you mean by blood cavity? A cavity that has a blood in it. What do we mean by a cavity? A cavity is a space. So think about a space that has a blood in it. That is what the hemocoel is. It's literally just a space that has a blood in it. Or for animals, it has hemolymph in it. That's all. A space that has blood in it, a space that has hemolymph in it. Now, this is true for animals that have an open circulatory system. What I mean by open circulatory system. So you have open circulatory system and you have blank circulatory system. What is the opposite of open circulatory system? So you have open circulatory system and you have blank circulatory system. What is the opposite of open circulatory system?
A closed.
A closed circulatory system. Human beings, do we have an open circulatory system or do we have a closed circulatory system? Do you think?
A
A
closed circulatory
closed
system.
You think we have
system.
a closed? Why do you think we have a closed?
Because our
Because
heart is on the inside and it's not in an open space. Yeah.
That's a very good guess. I like that. Because the heart is on the inside. That's a good one. Go ahead.
what I was
Because
going
our
to
blood.
say is
Go ahead,
that
go ahead, go ahead,
our
go ahead.
blood
Uh-huh.
She wants to talk. If she wants to talk, she's
You
going. I don't know.
you go first. You go first. She go after you.
Okay. So what I was gonna say is that our blood starts from our heart and cycles through our entire body and comes back to the heart. So we don't lose blood or the blood doesn't go to like a different, it doesn't leave, you know, the
Okay.
system.
Okay. So it stays in the loop, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's a very good answer. Samantha, I think he's gonna say give a correct answer as
Yeah,
well.
I think it's because our blood isn't just there freely in our body, it's contained in our blood vessels.
Huh.
So that's why it's closed.
Very good. Very good answer. Very good. That's exactly why it's closed. Now, think about it now. Um, both open and closed body systems, I mean circulatory systems, both of them have blood vessels. So do not think that open circulatory system do not have blood vessels. Both of them have blood vessels. The difference is how they are distributed. So what I mean, for open circulatory system, the blood does not stay in the blood vessels. It is released. Can someone tell me where is the blood released? I think the first slide answers it. Where in an open circulatory system, where is the blood going to be released? Which which place is the blood going to be released in an open circulatory system? Remember, we said it's not going to stay in the blood vessels, it's going to be released somewhere. Where's that blood or the hemolymph going to be released in an open circulatory system? Don't be shy. Where's that blood going to go? It doesn't stay in the blood vessels, it is released somewhere.
Um, into the endoderm,
No, not in the endoderm.
the organs of the animal,
Yeah, the organs, but where are the organs? Where are they? They stay in a place. They're in an
in the
area.
mesoglia,
They're where?
in the mesoglia or the
Mm,
mesoderm,
no, it starts with H. Not in the coelom. The coelom is reduced at this point. Not in the coelom. It starts with H.
oh, into the hemocell.
Into the hemocell. Eh, in the hemocell. Remember we said what the hemocell is. The hemocell is what? What we call the hemocell or what?
It's a
Oh,
cavity
okay,
in
it's a
our
blood
It's a
cavity.
blood cavity. It's literally a blood cavity, right? I know, like sometimes the definitions get over here. It's like you don't really like internalize it, but this is literally a blood cavity, right? That's what it is, right? So all the blood, all the blood in a open circulatory system is gonna go where? It's gonna go to the blood cavity or the hemocell, right? So for open circulatory system, the blood is dumped into the hemocell, that blood cavity, and it bathes the organs and the body cells of the organism. However, in a closed one, the blood does not leave the blood vessels. It stays in the blood vessels. Now, so how does we receive like oxygen and nutrients and stuff? The blood doesn't go to the cell. Diffusion, remember diffusion, exchange of gases. That's how it happens. Capillaries and all those stuff. That's how we actually get the nutrients into the actual cells. Not that the blood itself like goes into the cell, but the nutrients and the gases diffuse into the cell. All right, that's what happens in a closed circulatory system. But in an open circulatory system, the blood literally bathes, right, or covers these organs. Where does it do it though? Where? What place? What place does it do it? In the where? For the open circulatory, what place is gonna be where you're gonna have the blood bathing these cells and organs?
in the is it pronounced the hemocell? That's how you
Hemocell.
pronounce
Very
it?
good. That's exactly how we pronounce it. Hemocell. All right. Good. So that's how we do it. So the hemocell formation. So how does the hemocell form? So it's interesting, right? Because remember we said that the coelom, these are triploblastic organisms, so all of them are gonna have a coelom. But basically what happens is that the coelom is replaced, or the coelom, in some places you might hear where they say the coelom is reduced, right? Um, because remember, the hemo cell is a big space, is a big area. If you have the coelom still lying around, the blood is not going to be able to get to the organs. So the first thing that needs to happen is that the coelom has to be completely replaced or partially replaced, right? So once you get the coelom out the way, then you have a space, and that space is going to expand and merge into the hemocell, and that's where the blood is going to flow, within the cavity. So when you think about the hemocell formation, just think about the first thing. The first thing you have is that you have the coelom. The coelom is your problem. You need to get rid of the coelom. The coelom doesn't have to be entirely, you don't have to entirely get rid of it. You just have to reduce it. So you have the reduction of the coelom, right? The coelom is not this big cavity anymore, no, because you have the hemocell now. The hemocell forms after the coelom is reduced, or we have the replacement of the coelom. So it is partially or completely replaced by spaces formed within the mesoderm. These spaces expand and merge to form the hemocell. So the hemocell is going to be where the blood is going to be now, right? So now this doesn't happen in all coelomates. This only happens in the one with the open circulatory system. So if you have an open circulatory system, yes, your coelom has to be reduced. Your coelom has to be replaced by the hemocell. But if you're like us, like humans, we don't have a replacement of the coelom. The coelom continues as normal because we have a closed circulatory system. But for the open circulatory system people, they need the hemocell. So the coelom is not going to play bad boy. It's not going to be this big old thing. No, it's going to have the reduce. It's going to have the shrink. It's gonna be little there and little pockets, but it's not going to be like this big whole thing taking up all the space. No, because you need that space for the hemocell. All right. And then once the coelom is partially or completely replaced by spaces with form within the mesoderm, those spaces are going to expand and merge to form the hemocell, and then blood is going to flow freely in the hemocell, bathing the organs directly. All right, and the function, it's a substitute for the coelom. So basically, the hemocell does the same job as the coelom. It suspends the organs. It's there for transporting nutrients and gases. It's there for hydrostatic skeleton. It's there to provide structural support. It's there to provide the organs directly with the nutrients and stuff that it gets from the blood. All right, and that is the significance of the hemocell. Okay, so yeah, we to the end. We have 2 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions or anything that they would like for me to go over or anything? Let me know.
Did you post up these slides? You in group two? Oh, because I don't
Um,
think I ever saw you before.
okay, I am in the Sadish is my teacher. That's my teacher. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that's my
okay.
so yeah. So I don't know what group that is, but he's my teacher. Okay.
Group 2.
That's
That's
group two.
that's group two. That's group two. So who's your teacher, Miss Jolly?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's good. All right, so I was gonna do the tutorial stuff, um, but I don't think we have enough time for that. But I gave the tutorial answers as well, so you could look inside the group. It's inside the main group. I think I'm gonna post it again, but the tutorial answers are there. If you have any questions, just let me know. But it's good to have persons come. Thank you all for coming. Um, it's good that you all start studying early. That's good. That's one thing. Because I was like, I just hope that persons are willing to study early because, usually persons wait until, okay, in-course exam. Okay, let's start studying. Da, 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 da. That's not a good practice. It's good. I'm really happy that you all are taking initiative to start studying early. It's really gonna pay off for you all. I hope I did. I hope I helped in some way, and we could pick things up. Um, on next week, Saturday, Godspell Life, like around the same time, 6:30. But throughout the week, I will be posting, the slides, the quizzes, and all that stuff. And so you'll be able to have those content. So you could do the quizzes and all that stuff. They're really helpful. And that's it. All right. Any other questions? If there are no other questions, um, we could go. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you all very soon. All right, take care.
You too. Thank you so much for this. It was
Okay,
really helpful.
bye. Yes, it is.
Yeah, no, thank you, thank
It's
you.
really helpful.
No, thank you as well. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, take care, everyone. See you all soon.